Hi, friends, and welcome to our Belhaven Dance Alumni Series that we're doing on the Creative Impact podcast. So, for those of you that may not know, I am a proud alumna of Belhaven University, which is a private Christian university in Jackson, Mississippi. And one of the things that drew me to Belhaven is the incredible dance department that they have there. And it's really something special. It is like a major part of that university, which is so cool. So I love that Belhaven celebrates the arts and really connects faith with art as well. This year, Belhaven is celebrating 30 years of dance, and I'm so excited to be able to interview in this series multiple alumni from through the years, some of which overlap with the years that I was there, and then some that I've met through other connections or just through that Belhaven family that branches out. So excited to have you listening and watching with us, and feel free to reach out with your own stories if you are a Belhaven alum. Put some comments down, and if you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify, you can leave a comment, or you can check out our Instagram or Facebook at Creative Impact Podcast. So thanks for joining us, and enjoy this Belhaven University Dance Alumni Series. Hi, friends. Welcome to the Creative Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Caldwell, and I'm so happy you're here. Each episode, I take some time to chat with fellow artists about life, faith, and the impact of the arts. Welcome, Cheri, to the Creative Impact Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you, Rachel.
And just for those that are watching or listening, I want to introduce who you are, and I'll let you also take a moment to introduce yourself. But Cheri is the founder and director of Jubilee Arts Collective, and that is kind of branched out of Open Sky Arts Collective, which is really so cool. I'm excited to kind of hear all about that journey today. And what's really fun is we both have some common background. So both graduates of Belhaven University, and both attended the Ballet Mag Intensive, I feel like, back at some point in the past.
Probably not at the same time, but yeah.
Right, but it's kind of part of the same legacy, which is really fun. Yeah. And I love that I got to meet you in person. I had heard your name multiple times, and then I finally got to meet you in person at the Belhaven 30th dance reunion not too long ago. So that was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you are also a wife and a mom. So do you want to share a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll kind of dig into your journey?
Yeah. Right now, I am living in Colorado Springs. Actually, I've been here for almost 25 years with my husband, awesome. Christopher. And we have 4 kids that are in the teen years, from 14 to 17-year-old twins. And then our 19-year-old is our oldest. And soon we will be joined by, he's going to be getting married next year. So we'll get to have another daughter in the family. So excited about that.
So fun. So exciting. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, just thinking back to the reunion, I was like, it would be so fun to have you on this year, because now, were you one of the first graduates of the Belhaven Dance Department back when it first got started?
Yes, definitely. When I came to Belhaven, they had just started about 2 years earlier a minor program through Ballymunificot, and Ballymunificot and their summer intensives had been a huge part of my teen years, and I really felt that I wanted to continue to be discipled by them and attend Belhaven, which I had grown to love. So I came into Belhaven thinking I was doing just classes at Ballymunificot while I was a college student at Belhaven. That was kind of the situation. And then my sophomore year, they started to have some changes and started to build the dance department. And the first graduate was in the spring of 99, and me and 2 others, we finished up in the fall of 99. So yeah, right at the beginning, and building that department and kind of starting to shape its culture. So it was a super fun time.
Yeah, it was so neat to hear from you. There was like a alumni panel that they did
Yeah.
at the reunion. It was really, really cool just seeing through the generations of Belhaven graduates so far. And yeah, so just shout out right at the beginning. Congratulations to Belhaven Dance Department for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool just seeing the legacy and what's continuing to grow and things that started when you were there that are
Mhm.
like flourishing, like the Doxa Dance Club. And we could talk more about that later too, but just
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
And just seeing I don't know if you may have noticed this too, but it felt like there was sort of a similar heartbeat no matter,
Yeah.
when people graduated. It's like you kind of have that
Yes.
same, almost
Yeah.
like same DNA or something like that.
Exactly. Definitely. Yeah. I felt like I was coming home to a huge family reunion, and I didn't know very many people that were there. And I was like, these all look and feel like family. We had the same, yeah, just family resemblance. And
Yes,
yeah, it was really
exactly.
special to be a part of something that's grown so big and spread so far and so deep. Yeah, it was special.
Yes, it was so cool. So I'm excited to hear more about your journey and dig into like what got you into dance. And then I know for you, it's been kind of this process with the Lord as well, of surrender and just getting to hear how He's worked and kind of threaded things together in your story. So yeah, do we want to take it back to kind of what got you first involved in dance when you were younger?
Sure, yeah. Well, way back at the beginning, I was like most little girls, loved to dance, danced when I was very young, and then after a family move was not able to start dance until I was a little older, and my mom felt really adamant that she wanted to find a Christian dance environment for me. So I was blessed to jump back into dance when I was 9, and in Fort Worth, Texas is where I was did most of my growing up
Oh,
years.
yeah. I saw
Yeah.
that and I was like, Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, yeah. So I spent most of my growing up years in Texas. I was with a Christian dance studio, had a Christian dance performing group. We had so many wonderful opportunities, and my teacher was in relationship with the newly forming Ballet Magnificat and their summer intensives. And so that's how my relationship with them started pretty young and was a part of when they started doing summer intensives. But then I
That's cool.
continued on my dance training more intensively with ballet through my high school years. And yeah, and then as I mentioned, that kind of took me to Belhaven. And yeah, when I was at Belhaven, I loved all of the dance experiences I had. That's when I really got more of a deep dive into modern dances. We started to build the dance department.
Yeah,
And
same for sure.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, some crazy things. I remember we had a guest choreographer come in and she had us do this crazy piece, and we had to get on the floor and off the floor a lot. And
Yeah,
that felt so incredibly difficult for me.
I
Like I was
bet.
like, you want me to get up how? Like I had
Exactly.
her to break it down very, specifically how to get off the floor. And
Yes, when
yeah,
you're mostly a ballet dancer, like
yeah,
that's just totally foreign, I feel like, to us for the most part. I mean, maybe it's a little more common now with
yeah.
sort of like contemporary ballet and stuff, but
Well,
even
yeah,
then, it feels
yeah,
like a whole nother language kind of, you're like, what?
yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, so when I was there at Belhaven, I just also loved the opportunities to be out in the community. There's so much going on in Jackson, Mississippi, and just loved opportunities to love on the people and the diversity that's around and the needs that are in that city, and then also abroad in missions. So I was not so sure that I was going to continue with dance because I had such a heart for people and doing like the nitty gritty, like missional work. And so that was something that I kind of wrestled with throughout my whole time. But ultimately, God led me and my husband to Colorado Springs to start our
Yeah.
family and our journey together, which I thought was going to be for a short season, and it's been a long season. And yeah, that's where my journey has continued from.
So cool.
Yeah.
So, what was it that first brought you guys to Colorado Springs?
Well, my final semester of college, I came to a study abroad program here at the large organization focused on the family. They had a college internship and institute called Focused Leadership Institute. And he was just my boyfriend at the time, but he also came at the same time. And so we spent a semester here studying from some incredible Christian leaders and professors in the area and doing internships in the city. And I got connected with the dance company here, and my husband with other mentoring under an artist. And ultimately, we just felt like God said, I want you to go be in that community when we married a year later. And so then we moved back here.
Yeah, that's really neat to hear how God kind of guides those steps, and, just the peace that you'll feel in a place sometimes when, maybe unexpected, and then now how he's grown roots there for you. Yeah. What's the name of the dance company that you've been a part of?
So the dance company here in Colorado Springs, the contemporary dance company, is called Ormao Dance Company. And
Okay. I was wondering how to pronounce it.
yeah, it's a Greek word. It means to move by force or with force. And and so that has become kind of a thread through line for me throughout my time here. Though I only danced with them for about 3 or 4 years before I took a break from dance. I had actually the first spring that I was here, I had a sledding accident. I was excited about all the Colorado snow, but I had a pretty intense sledding accident that was like a whiplash that you would have from a car accident. And that led into a snowball effect, especially when I started dancing professionally full-time, of just a really aggravated neck injury with a disc herniation and things like that. So that shifted things for me a little bit. I became a Pilates instructor. I went through a certification for that, and that became a part of my healing with that, but also just a way that I was working with others that also were experiencing chronic pain and injury. And but ultimately, there came to be a season where I was like, I ultimately really want to have a family, and I really want to focus on doing whatever I need to rest and heal my body. And so I stepped back from teaching and dancing, and God, blessed us with a family soon after that. Our journey into becoming parents came pretty quick, with God blessing us with twins there in the middle of our foursome. So we had our 4 kids in 5 years, and it was a pretty intense time.
Yes, that sounds like it would be like woo, all at once, but that's so
Yeah,
fun too. They can kind of grow up and be, close together in age, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure it was a little bit of a whirlwind for
It
a while there.
was, but it was so much fun. It was just the greatest delight to, get to invest. I just love investing in people and being with them and giving something meaningful to people. And little people that come in, God places in your hands and your arms, are the most valuable, like closest, like investment you can give. And so I was just so grateful to have that journey. Still on that journey,
Yeah.
that it just continues to change. But so that really became a focus. And God led me to homeschool my kids, which I loved because I love teaching and I love just learning with them. And so it was over a decade. Dance was a very minimal part of my life. I would get, if I could do a dance studio every now and then. And I noticed how relaxed I was and how easy it was to move when I did get to go in the dance studio, but it just wasn't something I did, or really even for a while, really cared to do. My health got better in some ways and worse in others. It's difficult. Lots of things happen to your body as you become a mom, and some things and just different. So I had other things come up, some autoimmune illness and things that were triggered because of probably pregnancy, postpartum. And so things got worse before they got better. But then when my youngest was about 2, God has really specifically told me, I was doing a lot of work to try to, was very involved in a health journey, but God told me that he was going to heal me, and he wanted me to dance again. And so I pursued even some more different things with my health, and then I started accepting the invitations that were coming to step back into the dance world.
Yeah. I can imagine I guess there's mixed emotions when stepping out of something that's been such a big part of your life and kind of laying it down for a season and not really probably realizing that it's for a season at that point, and kind of when you go back to that place in your mind and your memory of stepping in a sense away from dance for a while, what was that internal processing like for you?
Yeah, I think the coming back in was the hard part. That I was like, I don't think I can do this. It felt very. I didn't identify myself as a dancer really anymore, and my kids didn't know me as that. My friends didn't. I mean, they were like, "Oh, that I did that when I was younger." We know. But yeah, I had become a Pilates instructor. If anything, people knew me as that. But the first thing I stepped back into, I had a dear friend, mentor, that she said, I want to support you on this journey. What do you want to do? And I said, I think I feel okay with a mommy and me class. My daughter was about to be 3, and I said I wanted to just do stuff with them, and so that was the first thing I did, which felt very natural and fun. And then I have I just love the people that are kind of on the outside that people often overlook or don't see. And I love what we call the special needs community, or people with different abilities. And so I felt passionate to jump into a studio that they were experimenting with a class for people with special needs. And I said, I'm going to do that. So I started teaching there and developed that program, and it became very, very special to me. And we had a little performing group and different things, and started teaching more classes. I started teaching at our university as an adjunct. I had a friend who had started that dance department at the University of Colorado here in Colorado Springs, and she'd asked a few times, and I said, "Oh no, that's not for me. Definitely not. I'm raising my kids. I'm homeschooling my kids. I can't do something like that." And then when she asked this time, I stopped and asked God about it. And he said, "No, this is what I have for you," and that felt very, very scary, partly because I still felt like I was a college student. I felt really young and not able to do something like that. And that was a big leap of faith, and just stepping into God's courage and capacity instead of mine. And then it started to settle in and be like, yeah, I do. He has given me what I need to do this. And then the director of Ormao Dance Company had kept coming back to me, like, I was in class, but she said, I'd really, really would love for you to get back on stage. Like, you have so much to give. You're not done dancing yet. And at this point, I'm in my late 30s. I'll just to say time frame. And I had been thinking, I think I'm supposed to get back on the stage before I turn 40, which feels really crazy because, that's when we're like, oh, middle age. But
it is funny with dance how it's so... I don't know. We get in our heads about age for sure. And I think it's beautiful. I feel like more people, or maybe I'm just also getting older, so I'm starting to recognize it a little more. But seeing the beauty of people of all ages and ability levels dancing. And I think we can so often think, okay, if we're not at like the peak of our quote unquote peak, like youth and whatever.
Full
we can kind of count ourselves out of being able to move and dance and perform. And so cool.
Yeah, but I was realizing in the dancers that I would see that, the more mature dancers are the ones that are the most impactful to me to watch, that have lived through life and now are bringing their whole selves into their dancing. And that you're just in a different place. And so that was another I was so nervous to get back on stage in that season. I remember, I'm like, I wasn't used to be nervous to step on stage, but that first performance felt so just nerve-wracking. And it was fine. And then, I continued a lot with that. And then, it just keep going from there.
Yes. So beautiful. I love just the courage, like those steps of courage when you don't know how it's going to go, but you take that next step with the Lord. And even specifically when you were talking about teaching at the college level, was there something that helped you to kind of take that leap of faith and say, okay, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, I think other people believing in me, and they're like, you would be great for this. And, that kind of encouragement. was helpful. And then just being okay with, just bringing what I had, and then gaining that confidence that, oh, this is what I need, and who I am in this space is what's needed. And so I discovered I really loved teaching older students that I had my kids I was teaching at home. I would teach them homeschool in the morning, take a quick nap, and then I would go teach older kids or young adults, sometimes older adults, that would sit there and listen to me and be respectful. No. And I was like, wow,
you get a little.
No, it felt like that some days, but I realized I felt more energized leaving than drained, and I knew it was a good thing for me, even though at that point I was still kind of juggling both of those things. So that's how I knew it was a good thing to be doing. Yeah.
That's a good, I think, kind of litmus test for, is this a place that, do I walk away more energized, feeling that sense of fulfillment? And I think that's cool that then it could kind of balance out maybe some of the stress that was coming, and beauty that was coming with teaching younger kids at the time. So I love that. So now, as we kind of fast forward a little bit to where you are, I know you're still dancing with the company, and also, are you still teaching at the college well? At the university? That's awesome. And then, so how did kind of the Open Sky Jubilee Arts Collective process go?
There's a lot else in there. Yeah, well, about I think it was around like 2019 or so, or maybe around the COVID 2020 time. I was super close to God. Just felt his nearness so close, and he felt like he spoke to me in that time, saying, there's a new season coming for you, and in this season I'm going to connect your dance and faith in a new way that hasn't been there in a while, and it's going to be a blessing to you. And I just want you to be on the watch, Cheri. Just listen and watch and wait. And so I just kind of, my ears were perked up in that time, and I felt very alone in Colorado, that there weren't many Christian dancers here. There's not any Christian dance companies. I don't know. I mean, that's a little bit over exaggeration, but it does feel you're a lone ranger here.
Feeling of isolation.
Yeah. So I just didn't see how that was going to be something like in community. And he started to just connect me with different people. I would hear about someone, and he says, call them, connect with them. And relationships started forming. Just me realizing the support system of other dancers that were Christians, that were living out their faith in their dance in different ways. And then God's starting to speak to me about what he wanted me to do in my community and gather people. And I started doing things that, when I started the dance club Doxa at Belhaven, one of the first things that I wanted to do that came from those Belhaven intensives was start just a worship jam, like a creative worship. That was one of the most meaningful things to me. And he said, you've done this before. Just get some friends together and just worship through dance. So I just called a couple friends. We had this I'm like, yeah, this is just a sweet thing. So there were little things like that. I had a dream that it was a very intense dream, that I was birthing something. I was going through a birthing process. And then at the end of it, I was holding this baby. And I asked God, what does this mean? Am I going to have another baby? And he said that he was birthing something in me. It was not going to be another child, but there was something that he wanted. He was going to take me through a process, and he wanted me to be holding something new in my hands. And so to be on the watch again for that. And then about 6 months later, a dear friend of mine that we were childhood friends, Jenna Vance, we had kept up together, just not as closely as I would have liked. She was still in Texas and me in Colorado, but we still loved each other, knew that we had a very similar heartbeat and way of relating to God, and God had been putting me on her heart. And when she reached out, she had an invitation for me. She felt like Open Sky was supposed to have a branch here in Colorado, and that I was the person to lead it. And I very graciously declined her offer. I said, thank you, Jenna, for thinking of me. I am not in a place to start something, to lead something here. I'm very full in all the things God has me doing. My kids are teenagers, but I knew in my spirit that this might be something that was a part of what God was already doing in me here. And so I told her I'd pray about it. I came back probably 10 days later and told her, I know I'm supposed to do this. I feel like reluctant, that I don't feel super confident, but I want to be so faithful to what God's inviting me into right now. And I think this is it. So for the next year and a half or so, I walked closely alongside Jenna and a few other wonderful, precious other leaders we were all doing different branches of like-minded work of the Open Sky Arts Collective in our different cities around the country that looked very different, but we had a support system that was just so precious, and all under that sponsorship of Open Sky. That was such a blessing. So it was such a gift to me that God gave me that support system and dear friends to continue to walk into what he was wanting to do in me and in my community. And then God started to shift things with Open Sky Arts Collective. They were feeling like God was centralizing what they were doing to one location, and that they were to bless and release those of us that were doing things elsewhere. And I, at that time, had to discern, was the work that I had been doing, was it time to put that to rest and do, what did God have next, or continue? That was a hard decision. And God made that very clear during these last few years. He's been so close and very chatty with me and telling me
I love that.
the next step, a little step. Hey, Cheri, talk to this person, do this. Call, and it's so sweet. And one thing he told me in that season was, those of you that know Open Sky, their logo is a little boy running with a balloon. And said, in these past few years, Cheri, I've given you this Open Sky balloon as like a sense of security and joy and friendship. But he said, I want you to let go of that balloon right now. I mean, I kind of had to, but he said, and we're going to go to a new place. We're going to soar to a new place. And it's going to might feel like a free fall, but you're falling to fly, and you're going to fly with me. And I'm going to take you up to a place where others will come alongside you. And then we'll find this new jet stream that I have you in this place. And so that was something that I hung to, that even though I knew I had a wild ride ahead, that God was leading me there. So it felt impossible, every step of it. But when I was like, okay, we're supposed to start a nonprofit, I knew that instead of to go under someone like another organization. But how can we do that? And then what are we going to call it? And what is it going to be? And everything. This seems impossible. And God would bring the answers and the timing. And it all clicked into place. So Jubilee Arts Collective, we actually incorporated in February of this year. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And my husband and I went through a discernment process that this was supposed to be something more than a dance company, that it was a collective of artists of all different types. But what God had been giving me in the last few years with this dance company, he wanted to grow that in other artistic expressions. And my husband's a visual artist, and is doing things with film, literary expressions. And so we started to just step into what that would look like, all with the DNA that he had been creating and what he had already given me with the dance company. So our heartbeat is really to emphasize that we are gathering with other artists in relationship with God as a missional community and doing life together, and then letting what he does in our hearts and in our journey together to overflow into art that we're going to take not just out to the theater in the church, but to the places that are hidden, that are hard to get to, that are overlooked in our community. Those are the places that we actually seek out to take our art to first. So with the dance company, we're creating work that we don't think, how's this going to look on stage? What's the lighting going to look like? What, what are our ticket sales going to look like? We think about how is this going to impact students in a last chance school, or teen boys that are in gangs that are in the detention center now, or young ladies that are recovering from severe abuse and trauma in a treatment center. Like, what is their experience going to be with art and God if we bring this in there? Because those are the types of places we go. And so that's what we've been exploring.
Yes. So beautiful. And I love just the heart that you guys have for that. And I think it's a different lens to look through as you're creating, how the Lord can use that in such a powerful way in people's lives. So any like cool stories that you have of how you've seen art and dance bring restoration and healing? Yeah, any particular stories come to mind for you?
There's a lot. Well, what's feeling really close, because we're doing this year, we really are investing in a youth treatment center. We went and did a dance performance program and workshop. That's what we often do when we go into places. We'll present a program and talk with them, and if we're able to, we dance with them as well.
I love it.
And we've been going back every month to do a class with them, and so we're seeing these most of them are young ladies, but there's a few young boys here every month. And it's the hardest place I've ever been in. But when you go to a place and are faithful in your presence to be there, it starts to become more and more familiar, and you see God working. And the first time we went, we met a young girl that after all of our program and workshop, she wanted to share a dance with us that she had created. We watched her dance. We saw her heart, and as she moved with her in her sweats, with her bandages on her arms and her legs from all of the cutting she had been doing, and just we saw her just express what was inside, and from such a hurting place. And this last month, we went back when we were last at the treatment center. She told us she was leaving. She had finished the program. She was going to be placed outside of the facility back into a host family home. And she was nervous and she was excited. And we talked with her and prayed with her. And she had one more dance to show us. And this dance was to a song called Symphony by Switch. And it talks about that God is working everything together for his good in her life. It just put such peace in my heart that when we go into these places and we're just faithful to love on people and to bring the presence of Jesus to them, there's nothing we can do to change or make things better or fix things, but he is working, and we just get to be witness to that. And for him to give us a glimpse of that in her life, just said, I'm doing work and you're just walking alongside me, and you get to just see what I'm doing. And so there have been a lot of times we've gone into places, we've seen incredible people committing their lives to God, and we've seen people experience a healing or just an impactful time. But when we go somewhere again and again, and we can see that it continues and that it's traveling them forward in life, I think that's what's most meaningful.
So good. Yeah, it's just so powerful that God would be gracious enough to give us like the ability to partner with him in those things and to be able to witness people's journeys and stories. And so awesome. Thank you for sharing. I love hearing some of the, the day in and day out moments that you are witnessing. And so something that I thought was cool that you mentioned when we were kind of going, pre-interview, going back and forth, was the idea of the contemplative life and kind of operating from a countercultural place in your leadership and the way that you're building, Jubilee Arts Collective and just your life, honestly, like how you're organizing your life. And that's something that I feel like has been more in my heart and my mind lately too. So it's just cool seeing that kind of the themes that God has, and he'll, different people pop up or ideas, and it's like, oh yeah. And
Cool.
how he's kind of, I think, maybe drawing us to a more contemplative place as believers, as artists. Yeah, I'm curious, like, what that journey has been like for you, and
Mhm.
how you are, maybe this is kind of a compound question. So maybe first, how has that journey been? We'll go there first, and then I
Yeah.
can ask more.
I think that I would say it's been a long journey of learning, but I think the time when God really started to deeply teach me how to rest in his love and rest in him was that season of life when I was really struggling with my physical
Mm.
challenges. That even, I mean, I was a mom of 4 young kids, I was homeschooling them, but I was struggling with chronic fatigue, chronic illness that would be like sometimes spend most of the day in bed. And it was such a hard time. And to give up my dancing during that time, that I felt very unproductive, unuseful to God. And during that season, I felt like God, He told me that this was one of the most beautiful seasons or like scenes in our dance together, that this was a season where he was really carrying me, just like in a pas de deux in ballet, that when a dancer is lifted and supported, and they look effortless, that is though I know being a dancer, if you're being lifted, you are actually very participatory in the work,
Right.
but that I just needed to be held by him, and that that he was most delighted in me, and that he didn't need me to do anything for him. And I just began to really understand deeper what it meant to live from a life of rest. And just being with him was the most important thing, the best thing. And as I started to open my eyes to just see everything that God was giving me as gift, whether it was the gift of my children, even though anyone who's been a mom or is a mom of little kids knows it is so intense. I mean, it's intense in different ways all throughout, but it is the greatest gift, that my health, whether it felt like I had this much capacity or way more than people are like, wow, you're that age and you're doing that, like more capacity than you think, that it was all a gift. It was from God. It wasn't anything that I knew. And I knew today I might have it, tomorrow I may not. Dancing, I might have it today, I might not have it tomorrow. I walk into a studio, I haven't been in dance class in a few years, and do a triple pirouette and land, and people are like, and then the next day I can't fumble through or remember two things, because it's just, it's not anything that I'm doing. It's really just all gifts. So as I have just started to approach life from not a grasping place, but just my hands open to just receive that God's giving, my favorite place is just to sit under I have this phrase in Colorado, I'm around so much beautiful nature and I love waterfalls, and just sitting under the waterfall of his grace, just letting it pour on me and it to go out in whatever way, however he wants, that I just want to receive life as gift from him, and then let my life be a gift. And you can't do that in our culture, and just the way that everything runs nowadays, unless you're constantly going back and sitting under, for me, that waterfall, or sitting beside that cool stream, just resting with him. And so I think that is maybe the journey to that contemplative life, or a life of my favorite place is just settling in stillness with God, to just receive from him. I don't have to be anything or do anything, just quieting my heart before him. And so it's something you have to actively think about, and you have to actively return to. And so that's how I try to live my life now. But I also, it is an incredible challenge every day to live that way. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like it's kind of an act of resistance.
Yeah.
against some of the things that are constantly coming at us. So yeah, I think that's a beautiful image of the waterfall, just letting his love like pour over us and his presence. Any other words of encouragement for people that are wanting to really pursue a close, maybe a slowed pace, a little bit of like a countercultural way of living? Yeah, any words of encouragement or wisdom that you would share?
Yeah, I mean it's a real thing to actually to do that. Like to stop, to start your day where you are just talking with him. It's living our life of prayer, but that looks different ways, not just the stop and pray for someone or with someone or say you're praying, but just whether it's in silence or praying scripture, praying a breath prayer, just walking with God, talking with him. I think that though, I mean, because people are like, what does that mean? Or what do you do? Like, it really does mean quieting yourself and all the noises and getting alone with God. I love how many times we see in Jesus's ministry where he's like, there's still more people to serve. There's people that don't like me right now. I actually kind of brought a run away from them, and there's things to do. People are asking for things, but I'm just going to steal away and be with the Father and just pray. Like, we really have to live that way daily. And yeah, that's the sweetest place that we can't just pretend we're doing it or act like we're doing it. Like, it really is what's going to sustain you through life these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen. And something that I hope to continue to learn and like lean more into in the next however many years I have, like continue to just slow down a little bit and be, I think like that awareness too of just God's presence with us. And thank you for sharing. I feel like that's so encouraging for people and very inspiring as well to think about and to see lived out in front of us. So really, really appreciate your openness with that. And yeah, time always flies with these interviews, but but I would love to hear, as we're just thinking about, artists and people who are in the journey right now. And I'm even thinking, since we're celebrating Belhaven's 30 years as well this year, thinking about, students that are coming up and this next generation of artists. Do you have maybe a word or something on your heart that you'd like to share with them?
I think just maybe as a continuation of some of the things I've been talking about, that pursuing God in this place hidden in him is really the most valuable thing that you can do. And then just realizing you're not needing to do something for him or to place yourself under him or over him. Like, he's just with you. And in that place, you can just be who you really are. You can share your highs and your lows, the triple pirouettes and the fumbles and things like that. And then you can live that way with others. You can live that way with the others you do art with. And it's not about, I think, especially those of us in the performing arts, we learn that you have to present yourself in a certain way and you have to prepare to present. And there's like this separation where God wants our whole selves, the wounded parts, the healing parts, the parts that are messy and the parts that feel a little like going good, like all of that. And just bringing all of that into relationship with God and others, your art will be an overflow of that and it will be authentic. And that is what you really want to give. We really want to give something of substance, that we need to empty ourselves of trying to be a certain way or present in a certain way so that he can really shine through us and show all those different things. And so, I mean, in an essence, like it's not about image and being a certain way. It's just letting God give us that place of just being like relaxed in Him and authentic with those around us. And that's when we're really going to have an impact. And we don't have to think about how to present it in that final shiny product, because we just want Him to shine anyways.
So good. Thank you for that word of wisdom. And, I think that's when you, circling back to something you said earlier, talking about, when you watch dancers that have, are maybe more seasoned and are in their mid to later years in life. And it's beautiful because you're seeing them bringing, like you said, their full selves. And there's a little bit of that stripping away of like
Yeah.
the performative element of it, or trying to like put on a certain image. And there's just beauty in that and that authenticity and bringing our whole selves. So yeah, love that concept. And I feel like I want to go back and re-listen to that last few minutes and just like play it over and over. So good. So good. So yeah, one thing that I love to just ask everybody that comes on the show just for fun is, what is one of your favorite things right now? So it could be small or big, whatever it is that's just bringing joy to your life.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, two favorites, really small, a little different. I would say I have really been enjoying the Streetlights audio Bible. I just listened to their playlist on Spotify, but they can stream them at different places. It's just scripture read in such a impactful, creative way that it's just been a really special way for me to meditate on scripture in a new way. So I've been reading through or listening through most of the time the Gospel of Luke this month, and hearing it in a different way, in a fresh way, is really bringing it out. So yeah, I love streetlights. And then the other thing that comes to mind is electrolytes. I love they have become a very special part of my life that is really helping me, especially I would say this year and the last few years as I'm getting older. I'm really thankful for that awareness, and like finding out how much that is supportive to my body as a dancer, as just a person, as maybe an aging person. But I love all that can come to me in different ways. So that's
Yes, those are such great answers. And very practical, which I love too. It is really helpful to find those things that help kind of support our health and our energy. And it is kind of that energy management, I feel like, sometimes these days. So yeah, I just love your heart, Cheri, and thank you for the way that you continue to just lean into the Lord and trust and follow in those moments when it feels like, this is scary, I don't know what's coming next. And even just I think it's so encouraging to see how the Lord can bring restoration of parts of our lives that maybe we feel like are a closed door, or like that season is over, but just remaining open to the new that He may have in the future, that the Lord may have. Yeah, so it's so beautiful to watch from afar your journey, but also just to get to know you more. And I'm so grateful for our connection with Belhaven and just being able to share in that special place. It was so cool to get to be with you there and be with all the other alumni that came. And yeah, I would love to let people know where they can find you, where they can connect in with Jubilee Arts Collective, if they're interested in supporting what you guys are doing, or just following along with the journey. So what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, great. Well, we do have a website, jubileeartscollective.org, and on social, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Cheri Orr 6, I think it might be my handle. But at Jubilee Arts Collective too. Yeah, those would be good places to find me, to hear a little bit more about what we're doing with Jubilee Arts Collective, or if you're in Colorado, maybe come and connect and be a part of what we're doing. And it's just been so great to be with you, Rachel. You have just a beautiful ministry of friendship that I have been blessed by, and I just really enjoyed meeting you, seeing you, in how God is using you just relationally and bringing people together, and it's special to get to do this with you. This was fun, so thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Cheri. This has been super fun. Thank you all so much for listening to the Creative Impact Podcast. The music for the show was produced by Michael Cash. Until next time, remember that you were designed to create. You were made to inspire. Continue living with purpose and making an impact. I'll see you next time, friends.